Welcome back. You're watching Global Eye. Our big story right now, 23-year-old U.S. Army soldier Private Travis King was supposed to be on his way to Texas to face disciplinary action after serving 2 months in detention in South Korea. But he instead fled to North Korea. King was stationed in South Korea and was kept in detention facility in Seoul after getting into fights and allegedly punching a Korean national there. After receiving a prison sentence, he was called back to the United States for disciplinary action, where he's said to have fled and joined a group tour of the demilitarized zone. It is claimed that he crossed over to North Korea from here. This development comes at a time when tensions are particularly running high with North Korea, which has not responded to U.S. requests for information on the well-being of their soldier. Pentagon spokesperson said that when Travis was being escorted to the United States, he was not accompanied all the way to gate as he wasn't in custody. Nobody anticipated that he wouldn't be getting on a plane to go home. Let's now discuss this with JamesFretwe, analyst at NK News. He's joining us to explain this big global story. Why did this happen and how the U.S. would be reacting to it in the days to come, considering that there are no diplomatic relations between U.S. and North Korea. James, why did this happen, according to you? And does the U.S. have any information about the condition of the soldier right now?
To answer your question, why did this happen? We still don't know yet, because we haven't heard anything from North Korea on the status of Travis King, and the U.S. hasn't been able to contact North Korea to ask about King either. So we're still going to be waiting for details on this. There's a lot of speculation that maybe, as you mentioned earlier, that King was perhaps facing disciplinary action on his return to the US as a result of his charges in South Korea. And if you look back to the Cold War, actually, there were a number of US soldiers that also went to North Korea that were facing disciplinary action in the US military. They went to North Korea because they were frustrated with the American military, or they sought to avoid this punishment. That's one possibility, but it's all speculation at the moment. We just don't know for certain.
Right. There are established hotlines between the two countries. What would the U.S. be trying to do at this stage? Is it important for the U.S. to get back the soldier? Would they seriously negotiate for him?
Well, one problem that the US has is that before the COVID-19 pandemic, the US doesn't have relations with North Korea, but a number of European countries that are close to the US do have diplomatic relations with North Korea. They would have had diplomats in the country, but since the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of these diplomats were basically forced to leave North Korea. They couldn't conduct their activities as usual, and they've been unable to return. So with the US unable to talk with Pyongyang directly, and there being few diplomats on the ground that the US can call upon to intervene on its behalf, Washington's going to find it very difficult to have much influence in this situation. It seems that his fate is in the hands of North Korea at the moment.
James, do you get a sense that North Korea, and has this happened in the past, that North Korea could use this soldier, Private Travis King, for propaganda purposes? And considering that he was in the U.S. military, as we know from 2021, would he have access to sensitive information? Could the information that he has be of any use to North Korea?
So in terms of propaganda usage, that is definitely a possibility. Of course, in the Cold War, when there were 5 or 6 potentially American soldiers that went to North Korea, defected to North Korea, and the North Korea used these American soldiers in movies, for example. They cast them as evil Americans in their propaganda films. They put them on loudspeaker broadcasts to talk ill of the US and encourage more American soldiers to defect. That is one possibility. But we also have to remember that North Korea has been implementing a very strong COVID-19 lockdown since 2020. There's still ongoing. And over the past few years, during the COVID-19 pandemic, there have actually been a couple of defections from South Korea to North Korea. Now, in the past, North Korea might have really played this up for propaganda value, but actually it kind of glossed over them. And one possibility is because actually it doesn't want to encourage more crossings at the moment because of COVID-19. And so in Travis King's case, again, potentially they might want to downplay this case because they don't want more people entering the country unauthorized. In terms of will they be able to get much sensitive information out of Travis King, he was a relatively low rank in the US military. North Korea will definitely interrogate him for any possible information anyway, and King might be able to provide them with a few useful details, but maybe nothing too groundbreaking. This interrogation process actually, again, to bring up the COVID-19 pandemic, the interrogation process might take a while because North Korea might put Travis King in some kind of quarantine before they properly interrogate him.
All right.
So even if North Korea does intend to release him, it might be a while to come.
Right, JamesFretwe, thank you very much for joining us from Seoul, explaining us the situation on the ground and what this could mean for the United States as well. Thanks once again for being with us. Let's now shift focus to the other big story now. Prime Minister Modi met with Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Hyderabad House in Delhi for bilateral talks. Wickremesinghe is on a two-day visit to India. This would be his first visit to the country since Sri Lanka reeled under a severe economic crisis last year. A vision document has been adopted by the nations which pushes for cooperation in connectivity, skill development and tourism. Furthermore, India's UPI technology will now make its way through Sri Lanka as the two countries agree to accept payments via the digital payments method.
आज हमने हमारी इकोनॉमिक पार्टनरशिप के लिए एक विजन डॉक्यूमेंट अपनाया है। यह विजन है दोनों देशों के लोगों के बीच मैरीटाइम, एयर, एनर्जी और पीपल टू पीपल कनेक्टिविटी को मजबूती देने का।
We agreed that the economic and technology cooperation agreement between Sri Lanka and India is critical to enhance bilateral trade and investment in new and priority areas. Sri Lanka is pleased to welcome Indian assistance in digital tech-driven service delivery and the citizen-centric services. We agreed that enhanced connectivity will also play a crucial role in strengthening our cooperation in tourism, people-to-people exchange and cultural relations. Enabling UPI-based digital payments in Sri Lanka would immediately facilitate future growth in this and other sectors.
And with that, it's a wrap with this edition of Global Eye. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.